I hope PPT is visible now. Yes or no? Someone has to answer. PPT is visible? Yes or
Yes,
no?
sir. Yes,
Oh,
sir.
okay. So as per the latest format is test is considered, there are 30 questions. The total duration is 1 hour. So it is common for all subject, not only for FEM. All subject for throughout the college, the format is remains same. Will 30 questions, multiple choice question. There are 4 questions, 4 answers. You have to choose one answer. That's all. So in the last class, I am preparing you for today's class also for the multiple choice question. I am preparing you for your first test, especially for the objective type questions or multiple choice question. So there are different type of analysis for there. There are different types of analysis. So what analysis you are doing in your regular finite element analysis? It may be in your regular theory class or even in your the if this your comma lab. So that is comes under static analysis. Static and most of the problems are comes under static analysis. You may have 1 or 2 problems on dynamic analysis or vibration analysis, but one category of the problem is comes under static analysis, where loading is constant, or we are studied about the 2 types of loading. So one is static loading and one more is dynamic loading. The load acting on the building columns or building beams, so those will comes under the static loading. Even though we may many people stay in the building, but if you compare the weight of the self weight of the building and our weight is very very less. In such cases, the building structure can be analyzed as a static loading. But if it is a tall, very tall structure like a Burj towers or some Eiffel towers, etc., then those structure also subject to some dynamic loading like a wind loading or etc. In such cases only we require to go for dynamic analysis. But most of the buildings are comes under static loading. There is a one more term here, that is a linear analysis. The linear analysis in the sense, so your in terms of you already studied about the Hooke's law in simple way. Instead of if we can interpret the Hooke's law in different way also, one of the ways to understandable way is the deformation of the material is directly proportional to the applied load. So that means I am giving the same example from the many here so that you can understand better. Imagine if you keep 1 kg of the load on the spring, let it be deformation is 1 mm. If you keep 2 kg of load, the deformation is 2 mm. If you keep 3 kg, deformation is 3. If you keep around 8 kg of load, the deformation is 8 mm. If you keep 10 kg, the deformation is 10. If you plot load versus deformation curve, so it will be straight line. So that behavior is referred as linear behavior. The spring in the initial level, it is a linear. But if you apply 20 kg of load, the deformation may not be 20 mm, it may be 40 mm or 50 mm because it already crosses the linear limit. In stress strain curve, we are talking about the elastic limit. So plastic is a proportional limit. So proportional limit is nothing but a linear limit. If the loading is within the linear region or within the proportional limit, so then such type of analysis is referred as the linear analysis. Even what problems you are doing in your the design 1, design 2 or mechanics of material, all will comes under the linear analysis. Non-linear analysis, most of the time when you're going for the crash analysis, where deformation is plastic deformation, not elastic deformation, or when you're doing some the metal forming operation like forging operation, again materials undergo plastic deformation. In such cases, the non-linear analysis required. But when you're talking about linear analysis, so whatever the load you are applying, that loading is within the elastic limit or within the yield strength, in which I can talk about the yield strength. But elastic limit and yield strengths or elastic limit or proportional strength, proportional limit or yield strengths are very very closely located in the stress strain curve. But one is you have to understand, one is static analysis, the where loading remains constant with respect to time. The loading is, there is no predominant changes in the loading. The loading is almost constant. Then it is referred to the static analysis. So when vehicle is stationary, is at rest. So then we can analyze the what is the loading on chassis, etc., by you can go for the static analysis. So when vehicle is the moving, then static analysis is not holds good. You have to go for the dynamic analysis, because whenever your vehicle is moving in the road, whenever it causes the hump or uneven surface of the road, the additional loading is also acting. If the race, especially in the case of racing cars, additional wind load is also acting. That is, those are the fluid loading. So in such cases, you have to go for dynamic analysis. So the already you studied about. So one member is bar, beam, trusses. So all problems what you have studied is, so loading is within the elastic limit. So when loading is within the elastic limit, then only we can apply your torsion loading, torsional equation or bending equation, whatever the equation you derived in your mechanics of material. Most of the equation what you are doing in your machine design also, all equations applies holds good only within the elastic limit or within the yield point limit. If it crosses the yield point limit, so those equations not holds good. So your material in the plastic region, so there is a separate subject, there is a separate field itself, that is referred as theory of plasticity. There are two subjects, one is theory of elasticity and one more is theory of plasticity. Theory of plasticity mainly used for the crash analysis, even for the metal deformation operation like drawing operation, even sheet metal working, etc. Then there are some other type of elements, so their degrees of freedoms are more. Then it is referred as the plate element as well as shell element. Again, plate element loading is in the transverse direction. So you might have studied about the plates. So where you are studying some plates in your finite element analysis lab also. So their plating is subject to in-plane loading. But when you talk about plate element, so where plate element is subject to transverse loading. Don't confuse between regular plates, steel plates, etc., with the plate element. In the case of plate element, the loading is in the transverse direction. But as per your knowledge point of view, you are telling. So other than your bar element, beam element, truss element, so there are other type of loading with elements also. One is plate element, one more is shell element. So especially shell elements are used to analyze the chimneys of power plants, cooling tower of the power plant, or even the water tanks, the overhead water tanks. Those can be used. Those can be modeled as a shell element. Then these things already got one is geometric linearity and one more is no, there are two types of linearity. One is geometric linearity. The geometric linearity in the sense, so we have seen the buildings, our own buildings, so where geometry is linear, the cross section area of the beam from one end to the other end remains same. Most of the buildings, that is referred to geometric linearity. Geometric nonlinearity means if you see some of the components of the chassis of vehicles, etc. So it is not having uniform cross section. It may be tapered cross section, or it may be having some different, totally different contour like automotive body, etc. Those will comes under the geometric nonlinearity. There is a one more linearity, that is referred to the material linearity and non-linearity. Material linearity is with respect to the response of the material. The response of the material means when material is subject to loading, it behaves in a linear way or non-linear way. Or if you plot stress strain diagram or force versus deformation diagram, so if you get the straight line, then you can say that material behaves linearly. If especially for some other material like rubber or plastic, etc., the behavior may not be the linear. You may have one rubber pad having uniform cross section, let it be square cross section, and it imagine it is like a rectangular prism. It is geometrically in linear because the cross section is uniform, but behavior is non-linear. If you plot stress strain diagram, in the stress strain diagram, the low it is not a straight line. Initial portion of the stress strain diagram for the plastic material or elastic material may not be straight line. It means a curve. So hence it is referred as non-linear materials. Especially we are talking about the material non-linearity. There is a one more contact problems when you are analyzing bearings and shafts, etc. Then you have to go for, especially for the joints and bearings. So stability analysis, there is a separate module. That's a fifth module. You are going for dynamic analysis. So it may be free vibration, and one more is transient vibration. So when you start the vehicle, there is a huge amount of noise or vibration that is in the transient phase. When it reaches the steady speed, then the vibration level is almost same. Then it is comes under steady state. What is studying in your steady state analysis and non-steady state heat transfer analysis, or even thermodynamics also is talking about steady state and non-steady state, etc. In the similar way, in the dynamic analysis also, that's a one state is steady state. So one more is non-linear the vibration. But as for your syllabus is considered, you have to talk only about the steady state vibration, not transient vibration. There is a one more analysis that is referred as spectral analysis. Spectral analysis means the y-axis your the displacement, the x-axis is with respect to frequency, not time domain analysis. In the time domain analysis, x-axis is the time, y-axis is the magnitude of vibration. The what was vibration plot you studied in your engineering, especially in the previous semester, it is time domain analysis. We have sinusoidal curve. So x-axis represent time, the y-axis represent amplitude of vibration. The nonlinear dynamics analysis, that is slightly complex, that is not required, but you have to remember there is a nonlinear dynamic analysis. Most of the vehicles, so in a spacecraft, satellites, all those will come under the nonlinear dynamic analysis. There is a one more stability analysis, especially for long columns, the long tall buildings. Stability is also important. There is a heat that can be, the finite element analysis can be used for the heat transfer analysis. That's why you already have started heat transfer. Almost 25% of the portion is covered. You have to go for some derivations and problems. So as per your first module is considered, they are mentioned about heat transfer. So in the case of heat transfer, the nodal variable, in the case of bar, the nodal variable or normally referred as field variable is displacement. If you imagine node 1, displacement is Q1, node 2, displacement is Q2. In the similar way, when you come to heat transfer, at node 1, the temperature is T1, at node 2, temperature is T2. Those are referred as field variable or degrees of freedom. Then almost other equations are almost same. You are using K, instead of KQ is equal to T, KQ is equal to F. Instead of using KQ is equal to F, so you are using one KT is equal to Q. So where K refers to thermal conductivity matrix, so T refers to temperature, or field variable, is equal to heat flux. On the right hand side we have Q, it is nothing but a heat flux. There is a one more fluid flows and fluid dynamics, as in it is mentioned in the first module also. In the case of fluid flow, no need to go for derivation, no problems for as per your syllabus is considered. Earlier there was it was included for 2016-15 scheme, that's your previous batch. Now it is removed. So some books it may be there in the fluid flow. No need to study about fluid flow as per latest syllabus is considered, but basic understanding of fluid flow is required for as per first module is considered. Then in the similar way, when you come to beam, there is a uniformly varying loading problems. There are few problems, even Halesh book or some other one more Professor Babu book. There are some problems on uniformly varying load. As per your scheme is considered, 2017 scheme is considered, so there is no uniformly varying load. As per your syllabus, you have to study only uniformly distributed load, no uniformly varying load. There are separate set of formulas. So that's why I'm not done those problems, because it is removed from the old syllabus. As per your syllabus is considered, only point load, it may be moment load, or it may be uniformly distributed load, no uniformly varying load. Then there are different types of loading already you have studied. As per your finite element analysis is considered, so again you have to write in terms of matrices. So you are familiar with the concentrated load. So as per your second chapter is considered, second module is considered, you have to study about the surface loads. So when the surface is contact with another surface, there may be surface forces. The unit of the surface force is the Newton per millimeter square or meter square. The how much amount of force acting per millimeter square, centimeter square, or meter square, that is the unit of surface force. But if you write in terms of integral, most of the finite element analysis equations are written in the form of integral. Once it is written in the integral form, then it is a double order integral from 0 to L or 0 to X and 0 to Y. It is second, normally it is a triple integral, double integral. So it comes under double integral, 0 to X, 0 to Y. 0 to Y, then so and so it comes into picture. It is a double integral. But there is a one more force. It is referred as, normally it is referred as traction force also. So suppose if you are applying when a vehicle is moving with very high speed, if you apply the brake suddenly, there is, so vehicle will slides on the not, wheels will not rotate. There is a contact sliding. There is a relative motion between the road surface and the outer surface of the tire. So then there is a surface contact. Because of the surface contact, some amount of heat may be generated. It may be wear out. So that is the one example for the surface load. It is also referred to the traction load also. So when load is acting on the surface, then it is referred as a traction load. But there is some cases there may be, that is as per your finite element analysis term is considered. So one more is the body force. Best example for the body force is the gravitation force or self weight. So self weight is the example for the body force. Why you are saying body force is each and every particle of the body is subject to gravitation force. If you consider complete building, each and every sand particle or steel columns, rods, whatever, each and every particle is subject to body force. Hence it is referred as the body force. Example is centrifugal force, the gravitational load, or the self weight. Then as per your finite element terminology is considered, again second module they mentioned about these terminologies. So traction force or surface force is referred by Tx, Ty, Tz. The Tx for traction force along x direction, Ty traction force along y direction, Tz traction force along z direction. Similarly, for body force, it is a F, lowercase letter Fx, Fy, Fz. Then contact loading, I am not going into details. There is a constraints. Constraints are nothing but a boundary condition. The material, most of the analysis, you are assume that material is isotropic material. Your bending equations, or beam equation, or torsion equation, most of the equation, you are assume that material is isotropic material. But same finite element analysis, if you want to analyze, use it for composite material, then so you cannot use those equations. There is a separate set of the equation for the composite material. There is a separate area where finite element analysis for the composite material or mechanics of composite material. That's one more subject. It was elective for your sixth semester, I think. Earlier I used to take, now I stopped. Then you come to the history. Already we know that there is a one engineer and scientist. He coined the word. First time he used the word finite element in 1960. And before that, there are some engineers, Turner, Claw, Martin, and Top. They have presented their finding in 1956. Presented their finding is, they have presented in paper, so which involves the numerical analysis, which is related to finite element analysis, but they are not used the term finite element analysis. They used some numerical analysis or numerical analysis. But a finite element is coined by the engineer Claw in 1960. And most of the stresses are analyzed during 1960s. Those period, it is mainly used for the stress analysis, even flood flow analysis, heat transfer analysis, etc. But originally it was maximum developed by NASA, that is referred as Nastran. Now still it is in the market. Now it is marketed by some other company, but it was developed by Nastran, and it is continuously improved by the NASA itself. That is referred as Nastran. It is mainly used for the structural analysis. So first book was published on finite element analysis in 1967, Zinkowitz and Chunks. These books are available in our library also. So during last 40 years, almost 40 means almost 60 years, there's a huge amount of development in finite element analysis. It is used for the analysis of the bone. It is used for analysis of the lot of other it can be used about analysis of the heart also, bone also, legs also. There is a lot of development is going on in especially in the biology area also. It is used for civil application, electrical application, etc. There is axisymmetric problems. Then again in the module 4 is considered axisymmetric elements are included in the first module. So axisymmetric is our building. Academic building is example for the axisymmetric. It is symmetric. It is symmetric about symmetric. So we instead of analyzing the complete building, we can analyze only half of the building. Whatever the result obtained, so that same can be applied to the another half of the building. So one is it should be symmetric in the geometry. Then it should be symmetric in the loading also. If it's symmetric in the geometry, that is not sufficient. You can see here. If it is geometrically symmetric, but if loading on the right side is more, then it is not comes under the axisymmetric problem. So then these things I'll skip. So when you're going for selecting the, especially for the 2D element, like a triangular element or quadrilateral element, so then you should, there is a one ratio that is referred as the aspect ratio. The length of the triangle divided by the width of the triangle, that is nothing but an aspect ratio. If the aspect ratio is as far as possible, it should be 1. So if it is 1, then your almost included angle maybe it comes around 60 degree or 60 degree. It's equilateral triangle, but not necessarily every time you have to go for equilateral triangle depending upon the geometry and constraint. So that angle may vary from 30 degree to 120 degree. If the angle included angle for the triangular element is less than 30 degree or more than 120 degree, then you may not get high accurate solution. Suppose we want to get accurate solution, better to go for the equilateral triangle. All included angle is 60 degree. But there are some cases we cannot always stick onto 60 degree included angle. So there is a provision from 30 degree to 120 degree. So the angle is within 30 degree to 120 degree included angle, one included angle, then we may have reasonable accuracy in the finite element solution. But if it crosses those limit, then you may not get highly accurate solution. So whenever there is a notches, fillets, and cutout, what you are studying in your design or mechanics of materials, normally referred to stress concentration. The notches, fillet, and cutout, etc. Normally you are writing whenever stress is, let it be 100 megapascal. Wherever there is a cuts or notches, etc. So we have multiplication factor 1.5, 1.2, 1. If it is cylindrical shaft, the multiplication factor is different. If it is rectangular shaft, multiplication factor is different. If it is axial loading, multiplication factor is different. If it is torsional loading, multiplication factor is different. Those stress concentration factor you are finding out from referring from your design data and book. So wherever there is a such type of stress concentrated, then you have to go for more and more element. The element size is less. Then displacement, there is a one term that is called a rigid body displacement. So suppose you are carrying the duster from one position to the another position. Just I am keeping the duster. If you are moving the duster, it is a rigid body motion because I am not deforming the duster. If there is no deformation, only it is a movement, the displacement, then it is referred as a rigid body motion. When vehicle is moving, so then it comes under rigid body motion. If vehicle hits the wall or some other vehicle, then there is a deformation or plastic deformation, crash. Then there is a strain or deformation, all things will come into picture. But when vehicle is moving, so displacement of each and every point is same. So in such cases, displacement is referred as rigid body displacement. Rigid body displacement, there is no deformation. The body is moving from one location to the another location. Vehicle is moving from one location to the another location. It is a rigid body motion. Only vehicle hits some wall or some divider or some other vehicle, then material undergoes deformation. For that, you have to keep one, especially when you're defining displacement function, even you have studied about U is equal to A naught plus A1x. So where A naught is used for representing rigid body motion. So already you are used U is equal to A naught plus A1x. So where A naught is for the rigid body motion, to represent rigid body motion in mathematical model. There is a constant strain states. We have U is equal to A naught plus A1x. So what is strain? Strain is equal to rate of change of displacement. Del U by del x is equal to A naught becomes 0 plus finally we end with A1x. So once you differentiate A1x, we will get only A1. That is referred as a constant strain state. That means at least one term should be there of higher order. You cannot have only A naught plus B naught. Like you cannot have only A naught plus B1, B1. So we require B1x also to represent constant strain. There is a compatibility between the element that is comes under convergence criteria. So when material undergoes deformation, so there should not be any cavities formed or void should not be formed. So most of the time metal deformation or sheet metal work also, we are deforming the material. When you're deforming the material, inside there should not be any crack. So deformation should be homogeneous, because earlier there is one subject that is referred as metal forming. Now also you had one elective subject, metal forming, but you are not taken. That's a good subject good subject. It is required for design. It is a combination of design as well as manufacturing concept. So there, when you're going for deforming preparation of the sheets or plates, etc., material undergoes deformation without forming any cracks or holes or voids inside the material. Then it is referred to homogeneous deformation. In the similar way, imagine we have a triangular element, two triangular elements pulled apart. So material should undergo deformation, no gaps or kinks between the element. Then it is referred to compatibility between adjacent element. There is a one more term, geometric isotropy. The geometric isotropy means, imagine you have the steel rod, you are pulling the steel rod in the horizontal direction, the relative deformation is 1 mm. If you neglect the weight of the steel rod. If you same steel rod, you keep it in the vertical position and pull it, so still deformation should be 1 mm. Same steel rod, you keep it in steel wire or steel rod, keep it in at an angle 45 degree to the ground. You pull it, the deformation is only 1 mm. If you assume that there is no self weight, so you have to create in the finite element analysis software should be such a way that if you represent the bar element in the vertical direction or horizontal direction, if you neglect the weight, so we should get the same displacement. So that is referred as geometric isotropy. So irrespective of the orientation of the element, if you neglect the weight of the element for a given loading, the deformation should be same. Then it will satisfy geometric isotropy. That when you're writing equation for displacement, you are writing U is equal to A naught plus A1x plus A2y plus A3z, etc. So A1x plus A2y plus A3z. So we cannot miss y term. If you miss y term, it will not satisfy the geometric isotropy, because it is given in the especially 2D element. Even for the 3D element, it is there in the Halley's textbook also. All textbook it is there. The displacement function, we are saying U is equal to A naught plus A1x plus A2y plus A3z. You cannot take away that z term, or you cannot take away the y term, you cannot take away the x term. If all three terms should be there for 3D analysis. If one term is missing, it will not follow the geometric isotropy. So when you come to the softwares, there are three important states in the for this softwares. So one is, it may come for your final examination, explain the following stages in the finite element packages. One is pre-processor, processor, and post-processor. I have one more slide. I'll explain with that slide. So if you consider important softwares used in finite element analysis, I may ask the following, which is not belongs to FEM analysis software packages. I'll write NISA, Nastran, Cosmos. Then I'll put one more software. Then you should be able to identify which is not belongs to the finite element analysis software. So Nastran is commonly used. NISA is also used. Then ANSYS is again common. Cosmos is also some industry they use, but most of few companies like the aircraft manufacturing like Airbus or Boeing, they have their own software packages they have developed. They are not. It is not in the public domain. So one of our students, he works in Airbus. So he's telling, he they asked, just I, for curiosity, I asked what type of software you're using for analysis. No, we are using our own in-house software. It is not in the public domain. So for we have done a long back around 10, 15 years before. We have received one project from KSRTC, the bus analysis of KSRTC, just for to get some idea. I'm presenting within 2 to 3 minutes. So because when I was developing the KSRTC buses, especially design stage of especially body, not for the engine, etc. They are purchasing the engines and complete vehicle they are purchasing. When you develop building the body, they have to take care of some other aspect. That's why they have given project that particular project, finite element analysis of the bus body, to BMSIT around 15 years before we executed. I was not involved in the package users, but we are given training to the complete the KSRTC, the bodybuilding team. There's a separate engineering team. We have given around 1 week training on fundamentals of finite element analysis. There are one or two professors that are involved in explaining the complete finite element analysis of software part is taken care by 2 or 3 staff member. I was taking care of the fundamental part of the finite element analysis. This is a complete analysis of the finite element, this bus. So this is meshing of the bus. So this is, I think, the door. So then CAD and FEM model for the first CAD model is for prepared. Then it is imported by FEM packages. Then these are the different parts of the bus body. The CAD, initially CAD model is prepared, then it is imported in ANSYS. So this is a meshing model. And this is again, there are different parts. And lumped mass, there is a lumped mass and the mass concept. In the vibration we are going to study. In the next model you are going to study one concept that is referred as lumped mass. So lumped mass means, imagine we have the beam. So beam, total weight of the beam is let it be around 1000 kg. So 1000 kg is the self weight of the beam. It is lumped at two fixed end, two support point. One side only 500 kg, another side it is only another 500 kg. That is referred as lumped mass analysis. Because especially when you come to dynamic analysis, so dynamic analysis mainly deals with inertial load. So inertial load mass is also very important. Keeping the mass, whether you have to keep as it is or we have to convert uniformly distributed load into the point load, that is also very important. That concept you are going to study in the module 5. One is constant mass and one more is lumped mass. Lumped mass means we have uniformly distributed load that will be converted into point load. What you have done for the beam also. Beam also we studied initially there is a UDL. So UDL can be converted into point load by PL by 2, comma PL square divided by 12, comma PL by 2, PL square divided by 12. So you have initially we have UDL load that is converted into point load. That concept is referred as a lumped mass concept. So there's some boundary conditions we fixed. This is finally we analyzed it, and finally we got displacement along x direction, displacement along y direction, displacement along z direction. That PPT, in the previous PPT, I'll put it in the Google Classroom so that you can refer for your test, especially for MCQ test. It will be helpful. Just go through the PPT. And I am putting one more notes also that I have already given, typed notes for the first module. Long back I kept it in the Xerox center. I think few might have taken Xerox, but for others benefit, I'll put it in the Google Classroom also. That will be helpful for your MCQ question, this test, the first test. So this is, I hope it is visible now. Yes or no?
Yes, sir, yes.
These notes, I'll put it in the Google Classroom. Those who are already taken Xerox, it is okay. If it is with you, it is okay. Otherwise, I put in the Google Classroom. You can download. You can use it for your MCQ, this coming test, first test. And what PPT I have presented, that whole PPT I'll put, because you can see the videos also I putting in the Google Classroom. Video you have to spend around 1 hour, but if you have the time, you can go through the videos also. But it is very easy to see the PPT. PPT can just refer from first page to last page within 5 to 10 minutes. But for that, for the same concept to understand, to remember, again, you have to spend for 1 hour for listening the video. But I'll put PPT as well as these notes in the Google Classroom. You can refer this for, especially for first test, objective type test, online test. So this, I am not going in details. So now, finite element modeling and analysis, there are two parts, or of two most popular mechanical engineering offered by the CAD/CAM. That's a CAD/CAM. Now it is referred as CAE, computer aided engineering. We had on last week, we had on talk also. That is mainly concerned with computer aided engineering. Even CAD and CAM also comes under computer aided engineering. Even FEM is also comes under computer aided engineering. Then one more is the fluid dynamics, the computation fluid dynamics, that is also comes under computer aided engineering. CAD, CAM, your finite element analysis, CFD, all comes under computer aided engineering. Most of MNCs, even Infosys also, they have separate computer aided engineering CAE analysis section. Even HCL, they are doing a lot of work. Even Infosys, even other money companies, they have separate. Even TCS also, they have separate. Even Mahindra also, there is a separate CAE section. Most of the MNC companies, even Indian companies, there is a separate division, this CAE division. Mainly they are involved in the modeling and analysis, not design. Most of the time, the design is done by from their original client, like General Motors. They have given the complete design. Only from our side, they don't allow. Most of the time, they do. They, especially even German companies or US companies or UK companies, they don't give the design of some automotive component. They will design in their headquarters. Only analysis part will be given to many countries like India also. Most of the MNCs are working on analysis side, not in the design side. So the first part is the finite element. If you see the definition, the finite element method is a numerical analysis technique. First, whenever defining finite element analysis, one term should be there. You can write in your own words also. One is, it is a numerical analysis technique to obtaining approximate solution to a wide variety of engineering problem. Wide variety means it can be used for civil application, it can be used for electrical application, it can be used for analyzing the biomedical application. Hence, it is referred as wide variety of engineering. So there's a first process that is referred as a pre-processing. So pre-processing, you are creating the model. I'm not spending too much of time on that. So it is used for creating the finite element. Then you are going for meshing. The next part is you are going for the discretization also. Then calculate the nodes and elemental properties. Suppose area is required, because to find out the stiffness matrix, area is required. But normally you are not entering area. You may enter the diameter. If it is a cylindrical element, you may enter diameter. But software package will automatically calculate the area. What are the parameters required for calculating stiffness matrix? That will be automatically calculated inside. If you mention diameter, that is sufficient. If it is a beam of rectangular cross section, if you mention B and D, so no need to edit A. So straight away inside all calculation will be done. That's why it calculates nodes and element properties. So there is a provision for H and P version display. What is H version? H and P. So most of the time you are going for H version. H version means you are going for, to improve the accuracy of the finite element solution, you are going for more and more number of elements. That is referred as the refining the finite element mesh. Refining means, initially imagine you have a beam, you are going for only 10 element. So instead of 10 element, you go for 100 element. That is referred as refining. Or you are going for the finer and finer mesh from coarse mesh. If it is 2D analysis, then it is referred as H method. So then P method is, you are going for the higher order polynomial. So already we have dealt with higher in the case of truss. We are used to U is equal to N is equal to, even for the bar element, you are referred N is equal to 1 plus xi divided by 2. Yeah, N1 is equal to 1 minus xi divided by 2. That is a lower order polynomial function. When you come to beam, that is a Hermite function, it is a cubic order. So that means instead of going for a linear equation, we can go for higher order equation, higher order polynomial. In simple way, you can say that P method is uses higher order polynomial. To increase the accuracy of the finite element solution, one option is we can increase the number of elements. That is one option. And one more option is we can go for higher order polynomial. Then it is referred as P version. But most of the time, without knowingly or unknowingly, you are going for selecting H method. There is a menu. Then most of the load, whatever the external load, all those information you are editing, especially your loads, geometrical data, even all material properties like Poisson ratio, density, Young's models, all those things are entering in pre-processing stage. And whenever, especially in the case of axisymmetric problems, so when you're creating the geometry, you're creating only half of the geometry that you have seen in the one aircraft. So instead of analyzing the complete aircraft, you have seen you are analyzing only half of the aircraft. Meshing is done only half of the aircraft, and model is created only for the half of the aircraft. That is referred as using symmetry. Natural subdivision at discontinuities. So instead of going for the manual meshing, there is referred to the auto meshing. So automatically, whenever there is a stress concentrated area, you get more and more element. Then aspect ratio already told. So even in triangular element, triangular element should not be too long. Also, it should not be too short. That's why length of the triangular element divided by width of the triangular element, as far as possible, it should be 1. Then sizing of the element or mesh refinement. So mesh refinement is nothing but, imagine we have a building beam. Initially, we have taken only 10 elements. So to get more accurate solution, we may go for 100 element. That is referred as mesh refinement. Then all concentrated load, all information you have to go for. Pre-processing uses, you are familiar with the graphical user interface, generate finite element mesh, and number of even numbering also done automatically. Numbering of element, nodal numbering, all those things will be taken care by the software itself. Then processing. So when you come to processing, finally you have to find out the solution. You are using your calculator for, imagine you have 3x3 matrix. You have to get the value of Q1, Q2, Q3. Those are the displacement. If you can come to the bar problem, those values can be, that is manually you are using calculator or my regular mathematical method you are using for finding out solving the 3 or more simultaneous equations. But in the software package, most of the software packages use wavefront solver. There's a separate solver. So wavefront solver is used. And some cases, it's a Gauss elimination method is also used. Don't you confuse between your elimination approach and Gauss elimination. Gauss elimination you studied in mathematics. It is used for solving the simultaneous equation, 3 or more simultaneous equation. Gauss elimination is totally different from the elimination approach of handling boundary condition. Gauss elimination is used for finding out the solution, for finding out the unknown parameter. As per your FEM is considered, it is you have to find out Q1, Q2, Q3 either by Gauss elimination method or by using the wavefront solver. In processing, the stiffness generation is nothing but you are generating the stiffness matrix. The stiffness matrix, initial stiffness matrix. Then modification of stiffness matrix is nothing but you studied about even elimination approach also. We have initially 3x3 matrix. So by eliminating first row and first column, you are eliminating first row and first column. So that is nothing but a modification of stiffness matrix. Even in the case of penalty approach, the value of the stiffness matrix will be changes like K11 plus C. You are not eliminating some rows or column. You are changing the values of the stiffness coefficient. Again, those will come under modification of stiffness matrix. The evaluation of the nodal variable. The evaluation of nodal variables are nothing but, so nodal variable when you come to temperature and heat transfer analysis. So nodal variable is T1, T2, T3, T4. You are finding out the temperature in the case of heat transfer analysis. You are finding nodal variable in the case of bar is Q1, Q2, Q3, etc. Then impose boundary condition by elimination approach, not Gauss elimination, or the penalty approach. So processing capability of your processor, because there may be static analysis. What software you are using, it is mainly used for the static analysis. When you're going for the dynamic, for small element with minimum number of element, we can go for dynamic analysis. But if you go for high-end dynamic analysis, then we require the other version. And we can go for non-linear analysis also. There is a separate version. So then cost of those software will be around 2 to 3 times higher than the regular linear analysis software. Then it can be used for fluid flow problems. I think it can be used for heat transfer analysis also. The processor is designed such a way that so it has a capability of all type of analysis. The mainly post processing is used to display the result. If one is display of stresses, the strain, especially for the vibration. So it will show how exactly it vibrates, deformation, deformed and undeformed structure it shows. Then frequency spectrum that you are going to study in next module 5. There you are for the dynamic analysis. The y-axis represent magnitude of vibration, x-axis represent frequency. Then if it is fluid flow, it shows velocity and pressure variation. And when you come to vibration, there is a modal shape also. The modal shape is nothing but how material undergoes deformation change like continuous vibration of the cantilever beam. Then displacement of displaying of minimum and maximum values. So that already you are familiar. It shows the stress value that some different color coding is used. Wherever there's a red color that indicated the more stresses. There are many options are available. Those things you can read by yourself. So similar type of question will be asked. So what are in that numerical this your objective? What are the capabilities of finite element analysis? I may ask to 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have to tick which is the capacity. So question will be easy. I think already your seniors they finished online test. If you have some contact with the senior, they'll tell how to get into this online, because it is very easy. Just you have to go and tick. There are 4 answers will be given. You have to tick the right answer. If you know overall understanding, that is sufficient. There are 4 answers will be given. Out of that, one you have to pick. And finally, the student initially they have some curiosity, some have doubt, but they have scored well. So then advantages, it is used can be used for the more complex body with respect to geometry. Second, complex boundary condition. So even irregular loading, even though you are doing as per your syllabus is considered, you may be doing only the point load, uniformly distributed load, but it can be used for uniformly varying load also. It can be used for the totally irregular loading also. It can be used for nonlinear analysis for nonlinear material like composite material or even nanomaterials all comes under nonlinear material. Behavior this stress strain diagram is not linear, it is nonlinear. It can be used for the complex material like a heterogeneous material, anisotropic material, like mathematical. But your mathematics, as per computation fluid dynamics is considered, there is a one more finite difference method. Compared to those method, the FEM, the mathematics involved in FEM is simple compared to other, but slightly complex. Even mathematics, some professor they are doing a PhD, they have written this FEM exam also. They felt mathematics, this FEM is itself is a more complex in compared to mathematics, but compared to other 2 methods of CAE, one is computation fluid dynamics, one more is there is a one more boundary condition, there is a one more method, a boundary value problem. They will compare to those type, your FEM complexity involved in mathematics is less. That's why he's saying mathematics is simple. For us, maybe difficult, but it's compared to other method, it's simple. The disadvantage, so one is FEM solution is approximate solution, especially for the critical component. We may require exact solution, highly accurate solution like a satellite component or spacecraft component. If somewhere in the some other place, if it fails, component fails because of variation temperature or variation some other parameter, it is a disaster. So especially for critical component, they'll check, conduct test in the lab. Even though they are going for the finite element analysis also, still they'll check. Then more time is involved, computation time. If it is highly complex, I have shown on aircraft that it may have more than 1 lakh element. To get the solution, we have to wait for 5 hours, 10 hours, etc. to get the solution, because The 2 lakh element means if each element is having 3 degrees of freedom, the total number of DOF is 2 lakhs into 3, 6 lakhs. The order of stiffness matrix is 6 lakhs. There are 6 lakh unknown variable. The 6 lakh unknown variable, by using Gauss elimination method or frontal solver, you have to calculate. That require more time, few hours. It may minimum, most of the time it may require some 15 to 20 minutes or half an hour. Sometimes maybe takes more, or even though they have a lot of development in the computer technology. Then susceptible to user introduce, without knowing, user may select, instead of selecting a triangular element, if you use a quadrilateral element in that particular point, you may get more error. Most of the companies, especially aircraft manufacturer, etc., they'll specify what type of element they have to use for their model also. They'll specify the element also. They'll do a lot of work, and finally they conclude this, we use the quadrilateral element, it gives more solution compared to triangular element. Based on that, they will suggest to the Indian companies or Indian MNCs in the India. So for this component, you have to use this type of element, analyze and give the result. That's they'll ask. The cost is very high. What version you are using in college is it's the education version. If the education version, if the cost is, let it be around 1 lakh, I'm giving one example, 1 lakh. If you want to purchase the same software, imagine you are going for one small industry. If you want to purchase the same software as an industrial person, so then cost may be around 2 times or 3 times or 4 times or 5 times higher than what cost, what amount you paid. Minimum around 4 to 5 times. For the education purpose, they'll give release with the lower amount. But when you come to industry, they'll charge minimum 2 to 5 times higher than education version or university version. What version you are using, it is only university version. Then limitation, again, modeling errors. During modeling, they may do a lot of errors. During discretization also, we may have do a lot of errors. Even solution also, you are using mathematical, even high-end Gauss elimination method may be used, or frontal solver. When you're solving huge amount, there may be floating point errors or numerical errors. Because of that, you may get some solution error. The application already you are discussed, civil engineering, trusses frames. You are studying about trusses. The frames, it is not included for your engineering syllabus, but it is there for MTech. I'm teaching. Earlier, around 4 to 5 years, I taught the same subject for MTech. There is a frame, it is slightly complex. The bridges and concrete structure. When you come to aircraft structure, analysis of the this wings, fuselage, rocket, spacecraft, missiles. We are talking about heat conduction, especially rocket nozzles, internal combustion engine, turbine blades, fins you are going to study in your syllabus. The heat conduction you are going to study in syllabus. Heat conduction combined with convection also, again, you are going to study in syllabus. It can be used in civil application, geomechanics. There is a separate specialized area in the civil to analyze rocks and soil. There is an interaction between the soil and structure. We have the foundation. So the foundation is directly interacting with the soil. If the soil is loose soil, so then even your foundation is very strong, building is very strong, the building may collapse. That's why they'll dig, especially for metro lines, even for elevated expressway pillars, they'll dig for a few meter down, they'll test the soil, afterwards only they'll erect the structure. The nuclear application, nuclear engineering, mainly steady state temperature distribution study, because nuclear engineering components involve high temperature application, mainly for heat transfer analysis. Biomedical applications like eyeballs, bones, impact, skull mechanics, etc. Mechanical design, already you are familiar. The vessels, pistons, composite material, linkages, gears, machines, etc. Then dynamic analysis, then again you are going to study dynamic analysis in the module 5, the free vibration, spectral analysis, material, non-linear material, linear effect, the stability analysis, especially for the tall buildings, the long structures like a poles, etc. Suddenly it may buckle or it may undergo large deformation. I have given an example of a scale. If you press the scale from both the ends, 1 meter, 1 foot scale, suddenly it will buckles or it will undergo huge amount of transverse deformation. So it can be used for isotropic material, orthotropic, what material, what formula problems you are using in your design, mechanics of material, even FEM, you are assuming that material is isotropic, but it can be used for orthotropic, multi-layered, especially for aircraft industry, they'll use multi-layered application, composite, viscoelastic, plastic materials. So all those materials they'll use. Then software is one is ANSYS, that is developed by Swanson Analysis System and the Incorporation. Then one is Nastran. You are familiar with NASA. It is developed by NASA. Then NISA, that is especially it is used for non-linear analysis. Hence, it is referred as non-linear incremental structural analysis. Biostate, it is developed by one of the universities, that is West Germany University, SAP. It is not SAP, System Administration and Programming. SAP program is there. That is a structural analysis program, University of California, Strudel. Again, it is developed by MIT, USA. Cosmos, Structural Research and Analysis Corporation. You can see a Patron, LS Dyna, especially used for crash analysis and impact analysis. Hypermesh is mainly used for the pre-processing stage. So there is a lot of jobs requirement, especially in the hypermesh, that is referred as meshing. There are different capability of each software. One is different types of element available, types of analysis available. It may be linear, non-linear, or dynamic analysis, or harmonic response. It is mainly used for the vibration analysis, heat transfer analysis. It may be different types of loading, different types of boundary condition, design optimization. There is one more subject itself, the design optimization. What you are studying is only design. There is a design optimization. We have MTech in machine design. They are taking as an elective subject, design optimization. So other than your finite element analysis, some user-friendly requirement, data generation, plotting, selective output, validation of the example, those things are also required other than your finite element analysis. Packages, it should it should have good, excellent pre-processor and post-processing. It should have all element library, 1D element, 2D element, 3D element, etc. So then it should take care of different loading condition. It may be external pressure or centrifugal forces, temperature loading also. So these are the different capabilities. So it will take care of all other aspects also. This year discussing about what are the capabilities and important features required in the finite element packages. So these notes, I'll put it in Google Classroom. Those who already have, no need to worry. The taken Xerox. Otherwise, you can refer. Whatever the PPT I have presented, one more PPT, general PPT of FEM, that also I put it in the Google Classroom. You can refer this material for your the coming test. So the 30 questions, 1 hour duration, 4 answers will be given. Out of 4 answers, you have to select 1 answer. That is a test pattern. It is common for common across the department, different even across the different subject also. I think if you don't have any questions, I'll stop presenting. Time is already 10:35. So tomorrow I'm going to discuss about some boundary condition. Again, elimination approach. It is required for your first module. It may be required for your objective type questions also. It may be required for your. It is required, badly required for heat transfer analysis. That is referred as elimination approach of boundary condition for non-zero boundary condition where temperature is not equal to 0. That we are going to discuss. That will be helpful for your objective questions as well as your heat transfer analysis. If after finishing that, so that will I'm revising the first module and second module according to the syllabus. So tomorrow I may require half an hour for revising your first module and second module according to the syllabus with respect to multiple choice function. Then remaining part you can study. Then I'll go for continuation of heat transfer chapter. So okay, if there is no question, I'll stop the session. Okay, thank you. So you can leave the session now.